Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is your boy CIZZY live action from Kansas City, Missouri. We are back again with another episode of the Culture Talks podcast. And guess what? As I tell you, every single week consistently, probably for the past 52 weeks, to be completely honest, I'm coming back with a fire guest. And here we are again with another fire guest. And with that being said, go ahead and introduce yourself, my brother. Let the people know who you are.
Appreciate the dope introduction. My name is Omari White. I'm a multimedia journalist who got over 6 to 7 years in the game, created some amazing content with your favorite celebrities, athletes, you name them. I did some dope stuff with them. So thank you so much for being on this podcast show with you. My apologies, and this is a dope vibe, man. Let's get the ball rolling, bro.
Hell yeah. First question goes, how long you been growing a beard and how you keep it clean, brother? Let the young men out here know how to keep their beard fresh, because I'll be struggling so much, I'll be having to shave it all the way off and stuff. Let us know. What's the beard routine?
That's a great question. I've been growing out my beard for roughly 2 to 3 years now, and it's all the matter. Just continue to make sure you shape that thing up. Make sure you shape it up. Add some Jamaican castor oil on it, some coconut oil, and just pick it out. Constantly picking it out, so you create the refreshness, the glow for the fans, for the people to check out in their mind at the end of the day. So that's what it's all about.
Mandatory. So the sun glisten hits it just right. Just let people gonna be thinking, Facts. Hey, bro, does he have a filter on the beard to make it shine? Nah, the sun just hitting it right. You feel me?
Mind you, if you see the salt and peppers, that's from my mother's side. My mother had salt and pepper when she was 25. So I so happen to pick up that gene, and boom, it brings an extra effect to it. You feel me?
Hey, it works out. It works out, brother. But man, yeah, again, we appreciate having you on here today. First question of the day is really gonna be, where did you grow up? Who is Omari? And tell us about, your upbringing. What neighborhood, what city, what was school like? Were you a student? Were you an athlete? What was the vibe of Omari growing up? Tell us about it.
Yeah. Pretty adventurous, to say the least, Brooklyn, New York. A lot of people call it Best-Stuy. A lot of people just say it's Clinton Hills, but I grew up pretty much in the same vicinity, the same neighborhood as Notorious B.I.G. So I'm trying to carry over the legacy of the great Biggie Smalls and Junior Mafia and Little Kim, and just translate it to my journalism game for the most part. My bad. Interrupted. But I was born and raised in the Clinton Hills section of Brooklyn, New York, home of the Notorious B.I.G., Biggie Smalls, Junior Mafia clique, Little Kim. And I was just been able to, see some dope things growing up. I played ball. I'm an avid hoop fan to this day. I've been fortunate to play for some elite AAU programs in the New York City area, such as the Gachos, who produce, Hall of Famers such as Tiny Archibald, Jamal Mashburn, Kemba Walker, who's a current NBA All-Star, who's fun fact, was my AAU teammate at a team called Team Rock, which is sponsored by Rockefeller. Russ Smith, who won a national championship, we used to call him ridiculous. Pretty much my whole entire lifespan has been literally the model of ball is life. So I played all around New York City, and just growing up in the hood, basically. Pretty much was just minding my business, play ball, show love the Brooklyn way. And even as a student, I went to Benjamin Banneker. I was able to had a decent high school career, finished second on times in my school history, most 3-pointers made. Listen, they call me the shooter for a reason, not for a season.
I love it.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I couldn't. My athletic skills didn't chance over to college successfully. I tried out to walk on at Norfolk State University, which is the Division I school in the MEAC conference. I made the team my sophomore year, but some other stuff happened. That's a different discussion for a different day. But I'm just so glad to be at that campus because I was there when we made history as making the biggest upset in NCAA tournament history when they beat Missouri in 2012 in the first round NCAA tournament, and just being able to be around surroundings where I see some legendary stuff and historical stuff that I could just always carry over to my career is something I take pride in doing. So after I'm able to get my degree, I was able to, fight through and got an internship job at the Source magazine while working at Verizon. So it took a lot of sacrifice, a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of situations where I almost got fired just to get to a position where I could just break through in my career. And now I'm just freelancing, doing some freelance copywriting work, and still interviewing a lot of your favorite celebrities, athletes, and just taking one day at a time with this grind, bro.
I love it.
Yeah.
So I wanna run it back. I wanna run it back to, young life. So a lot of people from also, I want to say I remember that upset because right here we in the mode right now. KC town, you feel me?
My bad, Missouri people. My bad, Missouri.
But I remember that because we was having a good season because we like, I think it was like maybe 10 to 12 if I'm remembering correctly, where we had like a decent team for like a few years. And normally we are not that fabulous, but we was having a good year. I remember that. And then just upset by us. I'm not gonna lie, by a school I ain't never heard of. So I was like, damn, what the hell? Where the hell is Norfolk anyways? I was like, where is that even at? I remember that.
Yeah, guys was top 10 throughout the entire season. I paid attention to college ball. You had Phil Presley. That court was tough. I remember that squad.
Nice.
That was tough.
Yeah, man. Good days. Good days to be in Missouri, man. It's not often it's not often that much of our collegiate teams do that well in certain sports. We had like 1-2 years of good football, but as soon as we entered the SEC, like about 10 years ago, that was like game over. We started this last year though. I think we had like a decent year. But aside from that, man, we're definitely a struggling state when it comes to collegiate athletics, in my opinion. That's just
give it some time. Just give it some time. You see Baylor basketball, they used to be terrible the past 10, 15 years in the Big 12. Now they rank top 5 for over 2 seasons, Man.
Fun fact about Baylor, there's a cat that's from Kansas City originally that played at Baylor, who I used to get mistaken for so often it was ridiculous, bro. Like originally it was in Kansas City growing up. So his name Ishmael Wainwright, right? And growing up, like, just because he's from Kansas City, people used to be like, Ishmael? Like, everyone knows Ishmael. Like, when you're a star athlete in the city and you're not in a big city, everybody know who you are. So like, Ishmael? I'm like, nah, bro, I'm not Ishmael. But then, like, when I moved to California, folks was calling me Ishmael and shit. Like, aren't you, like, Ishmael that played for Baylor? No, I'm not, man. Just a struggling creative trying to make it by.
And man, listen, you got to appreciate the grind at the end of the day. So when that time comes, Ishmael be calling people by your name. At the end of the day, you never know.
Facts, you never know. But I want to run it back to childhood. What other things aside from hooping do you remember doing, like, as a hobby or for fun, or like what imagine 11-year-old Omari, right? It's a Saturday, right? It's the weekend, no school coming this Monday. What's the vibes for 11-year-old Omari?
If I don't have a basketball game of practice, I'm collecting basketball cards. Going to play some pickup games. Then if it's super duper hot outside, have a water balloon fight. And eat a quick slice of pizza, take a 15-minute break, right back at it again. It's just the same old thing, and it's just made me proud of where I came from the most part. I had some cool friends that was very successful right now, and that we was able to just live our best lives and get to where we at right now.
I love it because it's funny. I asked that question because a lot of people from southern states and from the Midwest always wonder what it's like growing up in New York City, right? Like they're like, because in our head we'd be thinking about it like movies and shit. In case we went out there, luckily enough, my siblings have been living in New York since I was a baby, right? So like since I was like 6, so I've been going to New York. I knew it wasn't all glitz and glamour all the time because
right.
My sister, and one sister was in the Bronx for like 12 years. Other sister was living in Flushing for 12 years. Then like, some moved to Brooklyn. So it was like, I've been visiting every summer. So I was like, okay, I know that it's lit, but it's not like the movies where it's like, oh shit, we're going to go to the city every week, every day after school and like go to Manhattan and like run into some bougie club at 15 or something, like, you know what I'm saying?
But that's one thing about New York though, especially when I'm growing up, because I'm able to be by myself, nobody's around. All I have to do is just step outside and take a walk. You're bound to stumble upon something that's so lit. Even from that age I was coming from, when I was like 9, 10 up until now. I mean, literally, depending on where neighborhood you're at, you're bound to stumble upon something that's going to attract you, to be on it in the mix, to be inside the, the vibe for the most part. So that's one thing that's true about it. But the other things she was talking about is very true. It's like, it's not like the movie scenes that you see growing up. It's very gentrified right now, and they're trying to live it out now. But trust me, as I've seen the evolution of the city now, it definitely wasn't like that. It's a lot of quote unquote transplants that's coming in here to try to recreate this movie scene situation and turn it into real life.
I feel it.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. I think that every time I go to New York, I'm like trying to think about what would it have been like if I was growing up here, if I would have been raised here, because it's like everyone's lifestyle is so different, language, like experience, like how they went to school, the population in their school, what school was set up, like especially from the outside looking in, fashion and New York, like I follow so many people that I've met throughout my lifetime. When I lived in LA for like 5-6 years, so mad New York creatives move over there and stuff. So like you have all your New York friends and stuff, and I have them on Twitter and Instagram, and they're always making these references that I do not understand, because like that's like one thing that's for real true to New York. Y'all have so many like hidden references that only make sense to people on the East Coast, like DC, New York, Jersey. It's like if you're not from around that area, you're not gonna understand what they're talking about. I'll be like, somebody will post something like, you didn't really live in the Bronx if you didn't have these shoes. I'm like, what the hell are those? You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely a beautiful culture though. I always appreciate it. Where are you residing right now?
Still in the downtown section of Brooklyn. It's actually it's area called Fort Greene, which is like the home of like NBA players such as Taj Gibson and Epiphany Prince, who plays for the Seattle Storm of the WNBA. So I'm in the decent part of that area now. Be able to step outside, just see a whole different world compared to what it was like 10, 15 years ago. Because growing up, that neighborhood is not too far from where I grew up at, going to play ball, hanging out with my friends. So I was able just to be fortunate to stick around and see. I'm able to live in a nice, much more clean up version over there.
In a new world,
exactly. Right.
Like you blink your eyes and you see something and you're like, what the hell? Was I there 10 years ago? Nah, it's like, since when did that plant-based smoothie spot open up? Like,
right? Exactly. That's it.
I'm already knowing. Hey, I wish I would have known you was there, or would have been aware of who you was prior in December, because I was in Bed-Stuy all of December. My brother lives in Bed-Stuy, but yeah, I was like on Hancock and Martin Luther King.
Okay, yeah. Oh, you was in the hood.
Yeah,
I know exactly where you at. Okay.
I was there for like a whole month. I was over there just trying to find things to do. I was like, damn, it's cold outside.
So did you hit up some spot called Peaches?
I did not, but my brother was telling me.
You got to. Especially during the summertime.
Next time I come back around. Hopefully I'll be there this summer, actually. So that's funny that you say that. So
you just hit me. We're gonna link.
Mandatory. So I want to transition to your time in university. If I'm correct, off of my research, that's at HBCU, correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Talk about the HBCU experience, man. Talk about some things you appreciate about it, some challenges, maybe some benefits. Like just talk about your whole experience there for anybody that's listening that might be considering going or maybe just had a similar experience to yourself.
Yeah. So like throughout my educational career, I've been fortunate to go to schools that felt like a family vibe to me. Even when I got to Norfolk State, the minute I got touched on campus, I felt like I was around family. My cousin who transferred from Hampton University that ended up in Norfolk State. He was able to introduce me to some cool friends that I'm close to this day. And ever since then, they looked out for me. I turned up with them. There's been plenty of nights where I passed out by a toilet or a garbage pail in a room. But I know deep down inside that I was good. I would be much more secure being around them because they always looked out for me. They always made sure that I was straight for the most part. They even taught accountability as a man at the end of the day, because not a lot of things have a lot of things happen on campuses nowadays. They always turn to the black man of like, okay, we know that this person may be behind certain events because stereotypes that we go through every day. But I was so fortunate to develop and grow as a man to the point where I see the way these other men who came before me grew and how they move and being able to be successful outside the classrooms put me in a position to be that kind of success and try to, and reach that kind of achievement at the end of the day. So other than just academic standpoints, the party lifestyle was amazing. I was introduced to Greek life, which I'm Greek right now, but granted, I didn't pledge in school. I pledged when I got back home. It was just a whole cool, different type of vibe, being able to meet so many people from different regions and develop a lifelong friendship through there, and homecomings that come around every year to vibe out and catch up about life. It's just something that I always and forever appreciate going to Norfolk State and just going to HBCU overall, because not only the history dynamic that comes behind going to a school like that, it's just a matter of just the generations of just friendship and family and vibes that it continues to pass over and over and over again. I could just love to evolve it to another level, to the point where my kid could get to see that, and my kid could pass it to the next generation, one generation at a time.
Yes, sir. I love that.
Yeah.
It's like it's funny because I didn't even become hip to HBCUs until later in my life, probably when it was, first off, I never wanted to go to college in the first place, but later in my life where I was maybe considering about going to colleges, I was like, I did not know there was historically black colleges, but there was only one. There was one or two in Missouri. And I was just like, nah, them joints is in areas I don't want to live. I was like, I'm good. So then I just didn't apply because I knew I wasn't going to apply out of state because the money was it wasn't going to work for the family. And so I was like, and unfortunately, as you know, because I just told you I didn't like school in the first place, that GPA was not going to give me a single scholarship. They was about to question me like crazy. I think it was a 1.1 or 1.0. Shit was crazy.
I done met dudes who went to community colleges to get the GPAs up. They end up going to Norfolk State that graduate 4.0. You could have did it, and you could still do it if you get out that mindset for not going to school. That's the thing. It's all up to you, though.
That's facts. Nah, yeah. It's the funny thing is I always hated school. I never thought I was a good student, and I always did terrible in high school and everything like that, whatever, But then after 3 years out of high school, I was I was living in California at the time, and I was like, you know what? Both of my roommates was going to the local community college, and I used to just go kick it on campus just while they was in class. I just used to just be walking around. Low key, I went to holler at the shorties, to be honest. So I would go and I would just holler at people, and I was like, wow, this is way different than junior college in Missouri. Because junior college in Missouri, bro, there's no sports teams. Pretty much, it's brick buildings that are just standard. They look like a health services building. It doesn't look like a college. It's just the vibe is not there. But in Cali, though, bruh, them junior colleges was fire.
Yeah, I believe it.
I was over there just trying to do too much. But so I was like, well, you know what? Let me just go to school here because I'm already trying to talk to all y'all shorties every day. Anyways, I might as well just be on campus, get an education at the same time.
Why not?
And so I went, and the first semester, again, still trying to holler at everybody, but because I was doing that, and I'll be doing it respectfully, I had all these homegirls who was tutoring me and shit. I was getting A's. Like a mug. I was out here passing classes. Next semester, they put me in a hard ass math class. I was like, yeah, I'm good. I said, I'm out. Dropped all the classes in my math class. Got on my iPhone, dropped everything. I said, drop, and drop. I'm up out of here. But yeah, anyways, that's besides the point. Back to back to you though. What did you decide to study while you were there, and why did you choose that degree?
Mainly, it was broadcasting. I actually got my degree in that. It's just, but the weird thing about it is I'm taking a journalism route into achieving my dream job in broadcasting, which is, kind of confusing as hell. But if you went to school, if you went to HBC, like a 4-year degree, certain situations you go to school for, you won't be able to actually go and dive into that career until later on, or possibly never. So I've been fortunate to do that, but I chose broadcasting because growing up, every single day, except for my punishment for my mom, I used to always start my day off watching SportsCenter. And around that time, literally the guy at the SportsCenter who was the go-to that made the show so lit was none other than, God rest his soul, Stuart Scott. And his energy, his swagger, and him just being himself, a black man who could bring swag into sports journalism, sports broadcasting, made it so dope, so inspiring for me to jump into it, to the point where I'm like, you know what? I watch this show every single day since I was 6 years old. Why not try to be the face of the show? Why not change the game and inspire the next generation of, sports fans to want to do what I want to do, follow suit, and be able to, elevate content at its best. So ever since then, it's all about elevating, all about just, pushing the limits and just, pushing the boundaries of how content's being done, and just being yourself and just challenging yourself to be the best content creator at any given moment, any given time, including right now,
Right. Facts.
Yeah.
And I was gonna save this question for later, but I'm gonna answer right now. What do you think are like 2 or 3 key character traits or characteristics or skills that somebody needs to be a great content creator, or to be, let's say, specifically for your field, like a great sports journalist or a great sports broadcaster? What do you think? And I know you're like you doing a lot of shit right now, but just in general, what do you think are some great skill sets that are necessary in order to thrive in that area?
To me, most importantly, be knowledgeable. You gotta know what you're talking about, who you're interviewing, and you gotta be just in the know of like how things are supposed to be done. Because at the end of the day, like, a guest could fill that void, or fill that tension that you're not knowledgeable of the stuff. Then it's going to be like, you know what, I'm on to the next. Number one. Number two, confidence is key. Granted, you might have the knowledge, but it's on the matter of providing it with the swag and the presentation that's going to draw more eyes, draw more new fans to the interview at hand. And I want to say the last quality should be personality. Nobody want to talk to a robot. Nobody want to talk to a nervous person at the end of the day, because it's like, yo, bro, you're human, I'm human. You shit, I shit. You piss, I piss. Just the same way. We're the same people at the end of the day. So once you get that kind of attributes down pat, I think the sky's the limit. You just got to continue to push through. That's all.
I love that.
Yeah.
And being that you've been, doing a lot of work. You had your internship at Source. You worked, with 137. I've seen you've done a handful of other things. So what is one thing that you wish you knew before you entered, like, the world of content creation, the world of journalism, the world of being an editor? Like, what is one thing you wish you knew about your career before you entered?
That's a good question. I would have to say the longevity, and like how long does it take for to experience your first big break, should I say? I have done some research for like Grace, like right now, Stephen A. Smith, prime example. He's been writing a lot of content for, different kind of news outlets before he blew up on ESPN, writing for the Daily News of New York, covering for the 76ers in Philadelphia, leading up to the point where he's the ESPN senior staff writer before he got his own show and being the highest paid personality on the ESPN platform. That I guess that 10, 15 years of experience of like trying to push through is something that it's not for the kind-hearted. You really, really have to pace yourself. You really, really have to have that drive, that energy, and knowing that what you're about to get yourself into. Because I think it's a saying that people wait 10 to 15 years to experience their 15 minutes of fame. And not a lot of people is not about that life.
Right.
It takes a lot of inspiration. It takes a lot of grit to be like, that one content idea is not going to pop. You got to put yourself in a situation you get more at bats at the end of the day. So once you realize and get that mentality of knowing that it's playing a long game is going to work out in your favor in that kind of field, then it's a win-win. You be all right. And that's one thing I wish somebody was told me before I jump into this career.
I love that. I agree too, man. It's like, especially people like, I would say probably 30 and under really get lost thinking that people like Stephen A. Smith, people like, certain NFL athletes, or people like Steve Harvey, or like Ellen, or like Oprah, they be thinking like, because since we were young, they've been popping, or since we've been paying attention, they've been popping. We assume that they've always been popping. And so, and it's a common thing. It's a cliche saying, like, we always see what the light, we don't see what they did in the dark. But the problem is people hear cliche sayings, but because they're cliche, they don't
marinate in their head.
Exactly. And it doesn't go through it doesn't go through their head. But a lot of these cliche sayings are cliche for a reason, because they're facts, because they're true, because they need to be heard and to be practiced on the daily. So it's like, every time you walk through a airport nowadays, you're gonna see the word grit on every book you see. On every book you see, you're gonna see something grit, the heart of grit, the necessity of grit, like, because it's real. Like, we really need to. And I feel like, older people are starting to learn that's an area they can capitalize off of. Is people need to understand what grit looks like, how long people really have to work, what it really looks like to chase a dream, what it really looks like to acquire the wealth or the position that you want to acquire in life. So I'm glad you said that. That's super important, man.
Definitely appreciate that. Definitely.
What was like your most exciting moment out of college? Like you kind of mentioned, like, until you kind of hit your big opportunity or a big interview. Anybody who has seen any of the work on your page right now knows you've interviewed a lot of amazing people. Are there any specific interviews that just hit for you that was just like, wow, man, I had this conversation, or I did it, or obviously you're still growing, but
I'm glad you asked that question. I gotta say off rip, Jadakiss. That took months in the making for me to actually do the interview with him. A lot of time constraints and rescheduling for the most part, but when we had that conversation linked up, it was just magic being made. He loved it. The whole camp loved it. We was able to catch a cool vibe. Fabulous. He was another artist I literally grew up listening to. That is another dude I was able to catch a cool vibe with. Once again, his team loved it. And surprisingly, I didn't know that it was going to go that well. Westside Gun from Griselda Records. I was able to do some amazing, me and
my boys love Griselda. The whole squad, we love, like, every day here in Kansas City, just bumping. The only time we didn't love them is when some of the squad pulled up to Kansas City for the Bills Chiefs game, and they was posting photos in our city and stuff with the guys. Like, oh, hold on, okay.
That's that Buffalo spirit at the end of the day. But like, the beautiful thing about Westside Gun is, granted, he's stupid duper swaggy, fly, confident as hell, but he's one of the most nicest, most humblest rapper that you will ever meet. He's into stuff and things that a lot of people want to know about. Like, for prime example is, granted, I play ball and I'm a big hip hop head, but I'm into wrestling. I love watching WWE. I love watching NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, and he's into wrestling too. And hence his music, when you got song titles called the Lucha Bros, Undertaker versus Goldberg, and we had a great conversation about that, to the point where he mentioned to me that he has his own promotion, which is called Ring of Honor. And it's just little stuff like that I love doing, in which people can find out that not only their concentrations into the stuff they are passionate about, but it's other things that you never knew they would be into that could grab in a new set of fans, a new set of listeners and viewers, to the point where they want to do extra research about why they get into it or how they can get into it, and what's the big like, you know, hype thing of why they get into the stuff they get into right now, you know. But those three, and I want to say Zion Williamson, super duper humble kid.
Yeah, I didn't see that. Yeah, I saw.
Yeah, like
yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Like, I want to say, like, as him being like labeled as the once in a lifetime generation athlete, another humble kid. Like, as you can see, I'm all about being associated with people who's talented but yet humble. But I call him my nephew at heart, because when you get to know this kid off the court, you want to see him win at the end of the day. You want to see him be successful. He's a great guy. I'm glad he's having a successful year. I'm glad he's finally getting his first All-Star nod. And just those interviews alone, I take pride and passion in realizing, like, yo, no, the sky's the limit now. I need to go for the bigger and better artists. Not even bigger and better, but bigger and much more, you know, like A-list artists or celebrities at the end of the day, because the potential is there. It's just all about opportunity, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. I agree. And this is slightly off topic, but I saw Wayno talking about today on his podcast about how a lot of people, like, growing up really used to like Jack Fabulous's swag, and like some other artists like in the early 2000s, like they fashioned on point, and everybody was like trying to like match that. Do you remember any time like that, like in New York, like where there were certain artists who were really influencing culture? And can you kind of talk about that? Maybe like 17 years old, who are some artists that really stand out to you that were influencing culture at that time?
Oh man, Fab was number one. He had the whole entire Brooklyn wearing the ski shirts, a clothing line called Rich Young Shirts, creative recreation sneakers. He's one. The Diplomats held a huge influence in New York around that age bracket. When I was 17 in high school, everybody wanted to be a Blood Gang member, want to wear the American flag on top of their head, lean it towards the side, baggy Pele jackets, you know, the United States jerseys and whatnot. Who else? So many people. It's so hard to name. At one point, Jay-Z, unfortunately, when he was in his button-up phase, I so happened to dive into that too, which was trash. The colorful button-ups wasn't my thing, but it was Hove though. Everybody wanted to be Hove at the end of the day, you know. So between those artists and just that high fashion luxury play to it is just what make the New York culture so, you know, influential for the most part, especially with Fabulous rocking the street label wear, mixing it with, you know, high fashion with the Gucci, Louis Vuitton, and Prada. So I think those had to be the top three. And when I was 17, and when I was even younger than that was influencing, you know, fashion and with hip hop culture.
I love that.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna give you a scenario. You're in Los Angeles. Matter of fact, you're not in Los Angeles. You're in Wisconsin in an airport, and you're talking to somebody. What's one thing that people from New York say that lets you know that they're from New York? Like, you just chopping it up with a random guy that's just like sitting right there at the airport, y'all just chopping it up. What's like one thing that you are just like, hold up? And obviously, I don't know if you catch accents. Like, I catch accents. And I'm like, bro, from New York. But like, forget the accent part. Like, what's one word, phrase, outfit that they might have on that lets you know that they probably from New York?
Phrase wise, I would like this. I think if I was to catch somebody say, I'm gonna say "you're" because everybody's saying "you're," but between that, boss, yo, what's good, boss man, or okay, boss lady, I hear that, you know, that kind of thing. Or what's another phrase? Dead ass, because every other everybody say dead ass before the sentence or after every sentence. So between that and gear wise, if you Nike take up and down off rip, I want to think you're from New York.
I love that.
That's pretty much all we wear.
I love that. It's funny. Yeah. I was like, my go-to has always been, look, I ain't gonna hold you. Like anytime I hear that, I'm just like, oh, you must be from New York. I'm like, you must be from New York. Because that's something that I don't think other cities have jacked yet, for real. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, like boss gets used a lot here in Kansas City, at least in my opinion. Dead ass is starting to get used a shit ton. Like, but like I ain't gonna hold you. Like I don't really hear anybody like say that. Like, hey, I ain't gonna hold you. I'm just like, all right, you must be from New York, bro.
Yeah, top 5. That's
I love it. I love it. So doubling back to your field of work, man, what would be one piece of advice you'd give to somebody who's getting ready to graduate from Norfolk State and they're about to go they're trying to go in the same direction as you? What's like one piece of career advice you'd give them?
Making connections is very key. Very key. Granted, when I was in Norfolk State, I was partying my ass off. I was getting too lit and everything. And I think one of the things that kind of stopped my progression and getting to where I'm at in a further long side things in my career had to be, getting to internships earlier and being able to make those early connections instead of, half-assing and just being distracted for the most part. So making connections is key. Being able to practice, your writing skills, practice your diction, practice being able to articulate in front of the camera so you don't have to feel nervous or be able to feel that you can't achieve what you want to achieve when that moment comes. You want to be prepared, because it's a saying that I had to learn when I was studying to become a member of my fraternity, which is the saying is piss poor preparation promotes preparation promotes piss poor performance. So you're going to be extra prepared, be extra ready to go whenever that moment comes. And I want to say the last advice I'd like to give is to have fun. Just have fun with life. Life is all about adventure. As long as you have strong faith in the man above, as long as you believe in the journey that he's going to take you to with your career and with your life, calm down. Take it one day at a time. Everything's going to be all right. Granted, it's easier said than done. It's just on the matter. Just trusting your dopeness, trusting the man above that believe in your dopeness to take you further in life, and the rest is going to be history.
I love that. And I believe like the next question you kind of probably answered right there in that last few words. But, I'm sure that throughout your career, there's been moments where you're just like, damn, like, is this for me? Or maybe not questioning completely, but you're just like, damn, this is like, I'm struggling to get good interviews. I'm struggling to get good jobs. I'm struggling to get paid for my work, whatever it might be. Like, how did you mentally overcome adversity in your work? And, maybe share some gems on how other people can do the same.
Oh, yeah. It'd be time to experience that now.
Right.
But I'm able to overcome those kind of reactions by just checking out other people's work, find motivation, inspiration, and see what I could take from interviews and articles I read and put into my swag and make it better in my, attributes for the most part. And doing a lot of reading, watching a lot of old content, and also going back to the old content I have done. So granted, I had created a portfolio website to share around other platforms if they want to check out stuff I did. And I think that's a gift and not really a gift and a curse, but like it's a beautiful reminder of how far I came from and what's about to be in store, how far I came from as far as being fortunate to interview the Zions, the West Side Guns, the Fab, the Jadakiss, the Moneybag Yo's, the Terrell Owens, and knowing the actual, potential for the climax. I didn't even reach there yet. I'm still on the come up, and just be able to be reminded that how far I came and where I'm going is something that keeps me sane. It helps me sleep at night. And most importantly, I just say prayer at the end of the day. It's a saying that my reverend had said in a sermon one day when I was younger. He said, much prayer, much power, The more you pray about certain things that's bothering you, the more you ask for the land above to guide you to certain things you want to achieve, and like the much power of the blessings going to rain down in which you could be able to get those things you pray about. So you can't really worry about why you're in certain situations that's not going to help you get to where you at. Because at the end of the day, you're blocking your blessings. You just have to pray, put in the work, and everything's going to fall into place.
Facts. I was speaking to, I love that. I was speaking to a homegirl today, and you know, she's going through a lot of a struggle right now, stuff like that. And I was like, you really just got to go listen to the last, you know, 2 projects of Nipsey Hussle, and he kind of just repeats what you need to know. He's like, and I was just telling her, I was like, you know, you're on a path right now, and this path is going to have a lot of crazy shit that happens. There's going to be a lot of ups. There's going to be a lot of downs. But just like Nip says, the only crazy thing, the only different thing he did was he didn't quit. And it's like, it's so crazy how if you just move forward with a plan and you commit to not quitting, it's almost guaranteed that you're going to acquire success in some way or fashion.
Jay-Z said it best. The genius thing he didn't do is quit. The genius thing he did, he never quit. And look where he at right now.
100%.
Look where he at right now. You know?
So by the way, ladies and gentlemen, just sold 50% to the top luxury company, LVMH, in the freaking world. You know what I'm saying? 50% of the company, securing the bag. He's done a lot of other great shit. I think my favorite thing about Jay-Z is like every time there's been a wall, he's just been like, all right, cool. Then just like walks like the opposite way and creates his own wall. So it's like with his own door. You know what I'm saying? There's like a wall, and then he's like, damn. All right. Walks over here, creates another wall, opens the door. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it's just that's the thing you gotta do. The only response to a problem is a solution. Like that's the only response. Anything else is a waste of your energy. So I feel you on that, man. But we got the 8 P's, you know, piss poor performance promotes piss poor.
I got you right now.
Rewind.
Piss poor preparation promotes piss poor performance.
Perfect. So we got the 7 words of advice right there. Yeah. We got much prayer, much power. So that's your reverend, and that's like your fraternity brother. So I want you to give a gem, a influential moment, a quote, a piece of advice, all that, whatever you want to call it, that you received or that you heard during an interview with one of your guests that you've held on to. So it can be anybody. It can be, you know, Zion might have said something, G Herbo might have said something, you know, Fab might have said something. What's one thing you can remember that, and it may not even be a quote, it just might be something they said that kind of hit you and influenced, you know, a different thought pattern in your head. And take your time.
That's a very good question. Very good, very good. It was actually the person that told me something dope that stuck with me. I did an interview with I ran into him. Is former boxing champion Bernard Hopkins, B-Hop, and he mentioned to me that I would have to go to my Instagram and find it. So disregard that. But one other person that has a quote that sticks with me is from Mike Tyson, literally my favorite boxer of all time. He says, what was the quote? Everybody has a game plan until they get punched in the mouth.
Straight up.
You know? And it stuck with me so much because a lot of during my beginning phase of pursuing the career I'm in right now, my mom used to always tell me, you know, you need to stay with this Verizon job and help you get a master's degree and help you pay off this, that, and the third that you need. And the stubborn side of me, which is a Taurus, we all stubborn people. I want to admit that is back in my mind. I'm like, yo, I didn't go to school to work for Verizon all my life, sis. Like, no. At the end of the day, I'm good. And I say that to say, Mike Tyson's quote remind me of my mother telling me that you need to go back to school. You need to stick with this Verizon job just in case this journalism situation doesn't pan out how you want it to, And it's not, I'm not trying to, let people down of who's watching this be like, okay, so now you're saying that my main plan of my passion is not going to work out. No, that's not the case at all. It's okay to have a plan B because at the end of the day, life is not going to, navigate you to your original plan A and whatnot. Granted, you're going to have to take a break. You're going to have to figure ways around situations like home did to get to he's at right now. That might take a couple months up to years. But if you were able to figure out like another game plan to get to the success that you see yourself achieving in life, then why not? Kudos to you, but always make sure that you always have a plan B, just in case plan A knocked your ass out. That's it at the end of the day.
No, I love that because it's like one thing I saw through the pandemic is, first off, nobody was obviously expecting that, right? But like a lot of entrepreneurs was definitely like going through their businesses, trying to figure out how to finesse and recuperate from the pandemic. And one of my favorite people who, praise be the Lord, I get him on an interview soon. No. Before
I cut you off, I gotta cut you off. We manifest it. It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. When I have Ani Sanyal, aka Ani Hustles on Twitter, on the podcast.
Here we go.
He was talking about how he like lost 100,000 at the beginning of the pandemic, lost 100,000, took $100,000 L, and it's like at that moment you got two options: either you about to just quit, or you about to like stand up because you just got knocked the hell out. Imagine, some people can imagine losing a K, some people can imagine losing 5K. Imagine losing 100K in a night. Just 100K gone, just like that. And you got to wake up the next day. It's like, but you only got two options, bro. Like if you about it, like you either got to wake up and push that plan B into action, push that, that backup generator, turn that motherfucker on. You know what I'm saying? Or you about to stay in the dark, bro, and ain't nobody trying to stay there forever. So you got to get right back on top of it the next day. Because like you said, you know what I'm saying, you gonna get knocked out. Mike Tyson's guaranteeing you gonna get punched in the mouth. It's like either you're ready for it or not. And a lot of times parents, they provide, the main thing in their head that they think is going to help you, which that might help someone out. But some parents are going to say, don't do this. Some parents are going to say, keep this job. Some parents are going to be like, no, don't go that direction. At the end of the day, yes, you got to do you. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to tell you that when that real life hits, be ready. Because if you get caught off guard or you wasn't expecting it, don't come back here crying in my face. Like, don't do that. That's all the parents are trying to tell you. They telling you in a weird way, but that's all they're trying to tell you.
Right. You hit it right on top of the head, bro. Most definitely.
Absolutely, man. And the next question I kind of wanted to segue into, even though it's not a perfect segue, we working on our skills. But
this is perfect practice for you, bro.
It is mandatory. So I wanted to ask you about what are some roles or the importance you find in having a circle of friends that inspire you, like keeping the right people around you? How's that benefited you in life? How do you make sure that you're keeping the right people around you? How do you make sure that your circle is healthy in your personal life?
Oh, that's a beautiful question. It's just all a matter of how they move, how they movements at the end of the day. Give me 2 seconds. My bad. I had to adjust positions for the most part. Okay, we good now. Better lighting. I'm actually in the room. So yeah, it's just on a matter of just seeing their evolution as a person and how it fits, if it matches you and where you're going with your life. I was fortunate to grow up with a group of guys who was able to mold successful college players who won national championships, NBA first rounders. Another good friend of mine is a successful financial advisor. Just being able to just see what's going on around you and see the evolution and making sure that it matches the kind of positivity, the kind of mindset of that they're going to be on that same hunger or drive or ambition to achieve greatness in a field just like you are, because every Hope said it best. Every click on your click is in the crunches and whatnot. It's all for the the politics usual song. Like that verse hits harder than a lot of verses today because it's a true statement. You're only as elite as the next person who you grew up with that's beside you, who want to see the best of you, if they're not trying to get to at the end of the day. You can't be the man and you got to pull somebody up because they want to be on their ass and they're relying on you to get to it. That don't work like that. And I'm just so fortunate that I have people that's hungry, who want to do great for themselves, who want to be great for themselves, and just being able to, feed into the legacy that we came from at the end of the day. It's something about that neighborhood in Clinton Hills where Biggie and Little Kim and Junior Mafia grew up at that fueled and changed how we saw hip hop and fueled how we changed the street world. We saw the urban community, urban culture for the most part. You want to live up to those legacies at the end of the day. So it's all a matter of just figuring out if that same ambition, that same drive, that same energy is still going to be there for themselves, and see if it matches. Then hey, you're in luck.
I love it.
Yeah.
And what does success look like for you though? What is, everyone has their own personal versions of what success looks like, whether it's just straight monetary, like, making 100 mil. Some it's like, I want to have this many real estate properties. Some it's all I want to do is make my child happy. Some it's, I just want to, be able to sustain a healthy lifestyle, whatever it might be for an individual. What is that for you? How do you define success? When are you going to be like, okay, I'm happy. I made it. I did what I needed to do.
Being able to pass down generations of like stuff I have done in the past to the next generation, like kids I have, for my kids' side of things. Like it's like a family kind of thing to it. I didn't mean to confuse you with that answer and all, but just being able to figure out how I could use my content creating ability and be able to make it a marketable thing where it builds up assets and it will be able to build up some kind of, residuals to help pass it down to the next generation of my kids. That I feel that I'd be the biggest amount of success I could achieve for the most part. I just feel that if I'm able to use my ability, my passion to pass it down and break into different markets and be successful in that, that's a win in the day. But figuring out how I could reel in not only royalties and everything, just figuring out how to be able just to package all that in and pass that down to those who's right behind me, who's about to be on the come up. It's just something that I take pride in, and I think it's just a win-win at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's important. That last part there, I believe if I was hearing you right, why that a lot of people can pass money on, but what they forget to do is pass education on. And when you don't pass in the education or the knowledge of whatever skills you developed, they gonna fuck off that money so fast, first and foremost. Second off, you left them with no actual valuable assets, because money can be spent and thrown away immediately. You know what I'm saying? Like they can fight that off. But if you educate them on how to use money, if you educate them on how to leverage money, if you educate them on certain skills that you have, they can go make the money for themselves. I think my favorite thing that E.T. the hip hop preacher ever said was, I'm not scared to lose $1 million because I have everything up here. The money is not in my bank account. The money is up here. I'm a walking ATM machine. He said, I'm a walking ATM machine. Knowledge is the new money. Get you some. And it's like, if you can pass on knowledge, if you can pass on, skill sets, nothing's more valuable than that. It goes back to that cliche saying about you can teach a man you can give a man a fish, but you know what it is. You know what I'm saying? You can teach a man a fish or something, but you got to make sure he learns how to get his own food at the end of the day.
That's all. You got to learn how to feed for yourself. It's a dog eat dog world at the end of the day,
Mandatory. And
Facts.
so I got two final questions for you, brother. Okay, and then we
Cool.
we gonna let you slide.
Okay, because I'm about to get a new one torn to me by my fiance. She's like, "What you doing? Let's stop. We got dinner."
All right, bet. I'm gonna be done here in 2 seconds. All right,
Okay.
so
All good.
So question number one is, if you could be guaranteed one thing in life besides money, what would it be?
I would say great health.
I like that.
Being able to function properly. Push-ups. I'm a very, very active guy. I like to run around, I like to play ball. If I'm able to feel that I'm great inside and out, it's a win.
I love it. Fun fact, every single New York dude I ever met in my entire life, their two go-tos is push-ups and hooping. They're just like, hey, look, push-ups every morning. Like push-ups in the morning, push-ups at night. They just bust out push-ups in the middle of a studio session. And then
it's been ingrained.
And then they're like, let's go hoop. That's it. Hooping and push-ups.
Look, it's been ingrained.
It's in the veins. I love it. So my final question for you, brother, is it's your last day on earth. You've lived the life that you've wanted to live. You've achieved and acquired the assets you desire to acquire. You've written books. You've left a strong legacy, but everything you've ever done has to go with you to the next world when you pass away, right? Your great grandkids are sitting at your feet, and you got to give them one piece of advice on how to live life. What are you going to tell
them? I would have to tell them, be kind while you dominating shit.
Be kind while you dominating shit.
Because at the end of the day, whenever you're grinding out, matter of fact, when you see greats like LeBron, when you see greats like Hov, when you see the greats like Serena, granted they have that intense competitive grip, but at the end of the day, they're kind, gentle souls. So when they're not they're dominating, they're one of the most friendly people to be around. So while you're talking to them, getting to learn them, growing up, idolizing their skills and whatnot, they dominating. It's all right to be a dominant force in your passion while being kind at the end of the day. Nobody wants to be the asshole who can't be stopped, who's like the Thanos of basketball or the Thanos of journalism or whatnot, or in music, because it brings your value down. Nobody want to be around an asshole at the end of the day. Nobody want to be around, somebody who's so pessimistic, who's so grouchy and everything. A gentle soul take you way farther than being a prick, despite the success you have at the end of the day. So that would be my main advice. Be calm while you dominating.
I love it. And with that being said, brother, we appreciate you coming on the Culture Talks podcast today. This has definitely been a talk for the culture. And man, I look forward to, future conversations, future business, future everything. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, these podcasts are really about creating relationships with people around the globe, providing a platform for them to tell their story, and then continuing to push the culture forward, outside the podcast. So, I'm wishing you the best of success to you, your family, everybody around you. And again, thank you. Can you please plug the people on where they can find your work before we get out of here?
Yeah. Before I do that, thank you so much for being on your show, bro. You're an excellent host. You ask some amazing questions, and you're going to go super duper far with this podcast game. And I can't wait to salute you at the top when you make it up there, number one. Number two, for any and everybody who's watching this interview, you can feel free to follow me on Instagram, which is at SmoothGuyo, SMOOVEGUYO. Same name on Twitter. And feel free to check out my portfolio website. Send some feedback from there, OmariWhite.com. And yeah, that you could just find me at those platforms. You can just take it from there.
I love it, man. Thank you again, brother. Thank you again.